Hi, everybody. This is Sean Morsey with Chicagoland Realty Group Partners and Sean Morsey Master Series LLC. Wanted to go over our latest real estate syndication project for a multifamily building. The address is 1655 Felten Road, and you'll find in this, roughly 10-minute presentation a brief overview of how this project is going to work, the benefits, the risks, and how you can participate. So we'll move right along to the next slide. Now, our investment goals on this particular project are the following. Number one, we want to provide our member investors a preferred return of 10% or more. Number two, provide our member investors with an annual return on investment of 15% or more. And then provide our member investors with a cash-on-cash return of 12% or better. The hold time for this particular building is going to be 5 years, meaning that from the point of purchase until the point of sale, your principal for this particular project would be tied up for a 5-year period or potentially more until the property would sell. Now, details on this particular project. Number of units. We're looking at 16 total units, of which 15 of these units are 2 bedrooms and 1 unit is a 1-bedroom apartment. There is parking of roughly 24 parking stalls. Utilities are set up so that the tenant pays electric, the landlord pays water, and this is a non-gas building. Now you'll find as I go along in the presentation, there are going to be advantages to purchasing this building as we'll be able to split the water bill. In terms of location, we're really located off of 88 in Farnsworth, and you'll see in the lower right-hand corner a big red circle around the building itself. Now there are some advantages to this location. They include the following. Number one, we're going to be right off the 88 and Farnsworth interchange, so real close for fantastic transportation. Number two, we are located right down the street from an industrial and warehouse really field that goes all the way to Route 59. Number three, you'll see that we're right next to a large park with playground. And finally, we are right next to the prairie path. In fact, this building backs to the prairie path so folks can ride bikes to work or just enjoy the outside weather, I suppose, with access to that prairie path. Now, there's a few reasons we like this building, and they include the following. The location is fantastic. Again, you're close to I-88 Expressway, you're close to jobs on Deal Road. There is an Amazon warehouse that is supposed to bring, somewhere in the ballpark of 1,000 or more jobs opening near Deal Road and Route 59 somewhere around 2019. So we're super excited about that, as that is supposed to bring just part-time jobs anywhere from $13 to $15 an hour. This is walking distance to both the park and prairie path, as you saw in the previous slide. And there's bus stops on Felten Road, so folks can get around even if they don't have access to a car. We consider this to be a value add opportunity. Now what that means is that current rents are roughly $75 to $150 below market rent. This building condition can also be improved, and with that in mind, we believe that rents can be improved just based on building condition alone. And then what we'd like to do is utilize what's called the RUB system, so that ultimately we can split the water bill up and bill the tenants back for their particular water based on either the number of units or the square footage based on their unit. By doing so, we expect to save quite a bit when it comes to water, but the RUB system you need to be sensitive to because you can't do it overnight. You've got to do it with new leases, and with tenants that are currently in place, they can be fairly sensitive to that. So the RUB system would be used over the first 12 to 24 months. Now, as you'll see here, this is our summary of the financials for the most part. So if you look at a few important points. Number one, the purchase price and the price per unit. The purchase price is at $950, and the price per unit is just under $60,000. And for 2-bedroom, 1-bath units in Aurora, that's very good. That's typically, we tend to see those in condominiums at roughly about $80,000 right now. Secondly, our gross scheduled income on this particular building is at $167,000 at the current rents. Now we expect to get that up to somewhere in the ballpark of $171,000 in the first 12 to 24 months, and that's not including using that RUB system as I discussed. The cash-on-cash return is projected to be 12.9%. We are ideally offering a preferred return of 10% on investors' principal. So we hope to beat that by quite a bit. The annual average return, we're looking at 18%. And again, I've tried to be conservative with my numbers when it comes to what we present to investors, but 18% is kind of the best case scenario using the current figures. And then our member equity, being our office in terms of what we've projected to invest in this project, is roughly 50%. And we're looking to raise 50% at the same time. So those numbers could change depending on member versus manager involvement, but we're looking for a 50-50 split when it comes to purchasing this property and putting down the necessary down payment of 20% or more. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Sean, how am I going to be compensated? Well, we've got a few things to mention here. First of all, quarterly preferred return payouts will be electronically transferred to checking accounts once a private placement memorandum has been reviewed and completed by the investor. Furthermore, we'll be able to provide quarterly statements to you through QuickBooks by email or potentially by US mail if you prefer that. After a 5-year hold term, the property would be sold or refinanced with the payback of principal and split upon gains upon sale to those investors that have been involved based on their participation level and based on their initial investment. Now, what are the risks involved? Well, we've got a few that I'd like to bring up just to make sure that you see the full picture. While multifamily rental housing has been very strong in the suburbs, there are a few things we like to bring up. First of all, your preferred return can be tied to vacancy rates and building maintenance, meaning that if the property sits vacant for any elongated part of time, or if the building is not being maintained, that return could suffer first if need be. Second of all, principal payback after 5 years will be tied to the sale of the building or potentially the refinance of the building, meaning whatever dollar amount you decided to invest in the project, expect for it to be tied up for a 5-year period. Third, we prefer working with accredited investors, and I can go into more detail as to what that means, but at the end of this slideshow, you'll have the opportunity to click on a link to see if you qualify as an accredited investor, and if not, then ultimately we'll set up a phone call to discuss the risks, your level of involvement, and your level of comfort when it comes to this particular investment. So our track record at Sean Morrissey LLC as the parent company of Chicagoland Realty Group Partners. First of all, we manage over 200 units in the western suburbs of the Chicagoland area. We've leased over 500 properties in the last 6 years, and I hold a managing broker real estate license for the state of Illinois, as well as my community association license to manage homeowners associations. We also host designations recognized by the National Association of Realtors, Institute for Real Estate Management, Community Associations Institute, and the CCIM. And then we're located in downtown Aurora, which is less than 10 minutes from the drive time to this particular building. So being nice and close, we'll be able to keep a good eye on this project itself. So why invest in this project? Number one, there's going to be preferred returns of 10% annually with profit share at the end of that 5-year hold term. Now, with that in mind, those preferred returns are at risk if the building suffers at all, and naturally the building has to sell after that 5-year hold term in order for the profit share to take place. You're investing in real property in our local area, and you're going to be able to capitalize on your investment with rental cash flows, principal paydown, and property appreciation. You're supporting the Chicagoland housing market, and this is a value add opportunity with the opportunity to increase rents, improve building improvements, and this project will end up being a solid investment, and you'll take your money off of Wall Street, which let's face it, it's the casino, and you'll put it into solid assets here locally. So how should you get started? First of all, click on that red link and complete our accredited investor questionnaire. Secondly, upon qualifying, the financials for this project can be sent to you in person or by email, or you can visit our website at chicagolandmultifamily.com for details on 1655 Felten. And if you are non-accredited, an in-person appointment will be necessary to discuss the detailed investment risk as well as your investment status. Again, as I may have mentioned earlier in this presentation, we are looking for a minimum investment of $50,000 or more, but at the end of the day, we're open to talking to you about what level of involvement you'd like to have and see if we can make you qualify in the long run. If you have questions, you can contact me directly, 630-881-7082. Email me is also an option, seanrmorsey@gmail.com. And don't forget to complete our accredited investor questionnaire by clicking that red link. Thanks so much for taking the time to learn about this opportunity. If you have friends or family you think may be interested, feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to send them this presentation as well and see what we can do to get them on the track to financial freedom ideally, but at least wealth building at the current time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.